So once I start the recording, and to answer your question, Quan, there is a simple set of instructions. It's like a page and a half long that talks about how to work with the hue and how to stay out of fear that I will send to Perry to send to you. And then you can introduce something like that to your offspring, your son, your daughters, whoever is being brought into this new. They can also go to my website and click on that About Scott Hugh part where they can hear me sending out the hue in 3-part harmony for 24 minutes, continuously looped so it's consistent. They can do that too. Does that answer your question? Okay, then I got to remember to do that when we're finished on this journey. Okay, now that we are recording, this becomes a kind of normal telepathic communication in the hue and the omnipresent power between myself as an Atma, masterful beings I work with who generally do this out in space, outside of Earth's negatively impacted atmosphere for obvious reasons. These beings are very, very advanced, yet they don't place themselves above us as if they think they are superior. They don't do that. They know our potential. They know the potential of all beings running unconsciously, running bodies. Once the fear is gone, all the higher faculties begin to resurface. Everything changes. If you think about it, in the short amount of time you all have been going on these journeys, the amount of change in consciousness is very large. Your awareness of other realities and how the hue works, much more expanded. So in this lifetime, I would say you're all putting your efforts to good purpose, to good use. Because now, especially since you're all young people on Earth, you have a whole lifetime of being boots on the ground for the omnipresent hue expansion rate, let's put it that way, and bringing about change here on the planet. Well, that comes about from us with others, not just people from outside Earth. It also has to involve a certain amount of people on Earth. I would say, practically, it would take about 150 million people worldwide out of 8 billion to transform this planet completely. Because the constructive, positive energy from the higher worlds has mastery over the lower worlds of time and space. It doesn't take a majority percentage of people on Earth, like 8 billion unconscious human beings, meaning they're suffering from a deep amnesia. They don't remember anything. It takes about 150 million. It's not a very large percentage. But we're not there yet. We're not at 150 million yet. So we're going to work toward that goal. Promoting the books this year in some way, I don't quite yet know what to do that. But to get them to New York Times bestsellers would bring the numbers up. Producing Parallel Time, the short movie, is a very key element in all of this because it can raise those numbers up very quickly, especially in the film industry. So we're working towards that goal. The reason we go to the worlds beyond or the realities above the void is so that we are working in pure positive energy where there's no negative nature at all. What we are as the Atma has no negative nature. This is the big trap for people on Earth, particularly people on Earth. Fanatical religious beliefs, dedication to faiths where they have no experience. They're relying on what they're taught from outside and they don't do a thing to have their own awareness awakened. This is a big problem for people on Earth because behind that faith is fear and doubt. If they don't do this, then the devil gets them. If I don't do this, then some demon gets them, or other kinds of fears like that. None of which is real because demons, as they're called, and reptilians and greys and so-called tyrant extraterrestrials are not allowed into our solar system in the physical universe, not in the astral either. So the emotional part and the physical part is taken care of for now. The fact that people are still stuck with primary implants and all that, that still exists. But there's no more negative influences here and secret bases and classified areas or anything like that. That is gone. The rest is up to people on Earth to start to wake up to co-create so they can invite people to come here from all over the universe. People that could solve every imaginable problem this planet has. Unpollute the atmosphere, charge the oceans, replicators, healing, correcting DNA problems, removal of bacteria and small viruses that should no longer be in the atmosphere or on the planet that compete with human beings. This is just technology. This is more advanced spirituality. This is what races in other worlds have done a very ancient long time ago. Earth is extremely in the background and far from being caught up in this regard. So obviously disclosure of a real nature probably going to have to be done in the end by friends from out of town, from off-world anyway. We'll see what political people do. They've been informed. It will be done without them if they don't get about their business doing it. As you know, they've started this disclosure process in the U.S. as of this year. After 70 years of keeping the lid on this whole extraterrestrial issue out of their own fear. And fear is the only thing that keeps people making mistakes, whether it's political or religious, just fear. And since it's subconsciously influenced and they don't know it's there, they keep doing what they're doing. Consciousness, the awakening of consciousness, is what changes mistakes being made every day by individuals. So this work is definitely focused on political, religious, spiritual, regular run-of-the-mill people, animals, plants, trees, water, everything has a omnipresent hue energy behind it. And more advanced races understand that area of space out there that's so vast that little galaxies float in is actually the omnipresent first sound, the first power behind creation. That's never changed. That will never change. We are comprised of, made of, as individual atoms out of this same pure source energy. There's no negative nature in our beings. Everything else is subconscious nonsense. There's no negative nature in the atom to this day, in any of you. The rest of it's external, subconscious, out around the periphery, outside the border of the atom itself, out there in space and amongst other people. On Earth, as you recover, you're still surrounded by a mass of unconscious beings, putting out negativity and fear every day into the atmosphere that's already saturated with it. So you do need a certain kind of protection in the hue when we plug into it out in space. This is what's provided, so that you can walk through this life, and if you play your cards right, if you imagine correctly and choose as wisely as you're capable, then when fear comes up, from whatever source it might be, outside or inside, you'll turn away from it, drop the habit, and look at something beautiful and uplifting. Doesn't help anybody to get involved in controversies about COVID or cancer or anything else, because all that ends up doing is peddling more fear. If people put anything like that out without solutions, they're just peddling fear, and it doesn't help anybody do anything or change anything. My work, this work, our work together is about removing, letting go of, and being free from fear. My work has no involvement with any other agenda or anybody else's agenda. To mix it up with those agendas would bring it down in fear. This is not its purpose. My job, in part, with very masterful beings, is to keep it protected from being diluted with other people's self-righteous attitudes, or whatever they think it should be included in this work cannot be included in this work. It doesn't go down some universal middle path. It is quite beyond all that. It comes from source. It comes from the worlds above the void. And that energy comes all the way down through us. And this way, this world has a way for a pure hue to come in and start to refix or correct all the negative things that are on Earth. And there's such a massive amount, it's literally going to take billions of beings from other worlds involved to fix this place. This is just practical. When we imagine someone we love and respect, we're grateful they're in their life, I always say this, it's a person, place, or thing, but anything that makes you smile inside. A child's smile, a dog, a cat, a bird, the sky, the ocean, a beautiful day, a hummingbird, a waterfall, anything is of a constructive nature because it's unpolluted by negative things. It's just what it is. There's nothing negative per se in it. In the H2O in Earth's atmosphere and in the water, it stores everything in it that people do. People don't know this on Earth, or they would respect that ocean, that water so vastly higher than they are now. It stores everything people do, and it stays within the atmosphere of the planet. It does not go out into the human space at all. You can't record any of this negative stuff out there. So the atmosphere of the planet acts as both a safeguard. It makes people eventually be responsible for what's around them by working in the high worlds and bringing higher energy here. There's no other way. We cannot do it from here upward. The world is so distorted and so unconscious, we can't make it work with other people that way from here up. It has to come from outside and from up, downward and to this planet. It has to be brought here. 8 billion unconscious people, the reason their oceans on Earth are not charged. There is no other reason. They are co-creators with Source and they don't even know it. So they're blocking it by creating blocks in the way because they're afraid of things. People on Earth are afraid to actually confront what they think is the supreme being and go into it and see it for themselves. This is wrong. This isn't the way it's meant to be. We come from that supreme being. We come from that source. And we have every right and should be returning to it. As you know, there's a man and a woman not from Earth, stationed behind each one of you. Now these are the same people that remove secondary implants and help you at some point sit down and see what's in the primary implant and be done with it. The primary implant is not removed from people on Earth at this time. It's diabolical. Your body would not survive it. So looking into it is one thing that can be done. So you know how you were killed or how you were put on Earth or what led to it. This is important. But it's more important that we have some control over the influence of that primary implant because we are meant to. As Atmas, we already have that control. But if there's doubt and fear and shyness and people just too afraid to let it in, to accept it back into their lives, to wake it up, then they've got problems. The real truth is that we're here to master things. We didn't come to Earth on a mission, volunteering to be unconscious and dumber than a brick. No, that's not part of the deal. It never was. We were never meant to worship some supreme being or worship what people call divine spirit or any of that, because we are it. It's like worshiping yourself. It's silly. It's vanity. We're not meant to do that. We're meant to know it and respect it and have experience with it. That is what we're meant to do. I am no different than you in this way. This applies to me as it does every being in existence. No exceptions. So this work ultimately is focused on all the people that would fight it the most at first. Classified people, military people, religious leaders, political leaders. It's for everyone. It's for the animals on Earth too. Boy, they sure need it. The sky, the moon, the sun, the stars, the water, the mountains, the forests, the rivers, it all is involved in how the hue works. We are supposed to be conscious co-creators with Source and responsible, kind, caretakers, custodians of planets and suns and people and friends and people on worlds that are less evolved. We're supposed to be nurturing them. People on Earth do not do this at all. And this is not normal in the universe. Earth is not normal. It can be. It's meant to be, but it isn't yet. If the hue was not flowing through the oceans now from 3 pyramids placed on its surface, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It's important to know that some inroads have been made in ways that have never existed or occurred before in the entire history, from the very beginning through the entire multidimensional creation. Things are changing in the upper realities where we're going. You 4 have the courage to go on these journeys. This may not always stay in this form, as Perry knows. We don't know yet what form it's going to take. I don't know that I'll be able to personally guide all these things all the time like this, times millions of people. Not this way. It will have to evolve into something greater. And we'll all get there together. This couple that's standing beside each of you, they all appear to be roughly 30 to 40 years of age or so, but healthful, perfect, beautiful, handsome, all ideal. Because in most worlds, human beings that live on other worlds don't have these genetic problems and aberrations or mutations or any of this stuff that people have on Earth. They don't have any of that problem. They don't live short lives. They don't overpopulate their planets. They would never think about massively raising animals and slaughtering them every day. They don't do that. Nobody brings dead carcasses in a refrigerator on a spaceship to Earth. Maybe reptilians might, but they're not allowed anywhere near this solar system now. And they're changing as we speak. They're no longer a threat to anyone. I suppose this work is to update people with sincere hearts in the UFO and extraterrestrial communities that want to get out the truth, but they're being mixed up and projecting fear along with the good things they try to do. It backfires on them. They get stuck in a loop on Earth. And it doesn't work. It never has. As I've said before, classified community people, secret government, are not worried about people in the extraterrestrial and disclosure communities a threat, because they're not. They don't work together collectively in mass, or they might be a threat. So they're not a threat. They threaten each other, fight each other sometimes, but they're not a threat. Now, money's not being spent to close down their internet or mess with people or threaten their lives. They don't do that anymore, if you hadn't noticed. So really, the problem is simply people letting go of fear. There is no other problem that anyone will ever have in any dimensional level. That's it. Fear only exists on the lower planes of time and space. And it surrounds the field of energy around beings often, and they mistakenly believe that they have guilt. They're the ones that need to pay off negative karma. They need to answer to some god, some tyrant god, that will stick a pitchfork in your ass if you don't do just the right thing. None of that is true outside of Earth. This is strictly an Earth phenomena. That's not to say that there aren't some Earths that have troubles like ours. There are a few. But Earth is at the, how do I say it, probably has the most messed up bunch of energy in the atmosphere of any place I've ever been. There are places in parallel dimensions within the physical universe that have problems. Even war, police, militaries. This is true in some higher heavens. In the astral, causal, I think after the causal they don't really get into the way people kill and eat things here. But But there are other problems in those bodies as well, because they're bodies made of matter, energy, space, and time, molecules and atoms, DNA, on different vibrational levels. The hue supports all of it. It is unbiased, unprejudiced, unjudgmental. It is a living power. It supports everybody and even all their miscreations and distortions. At least that's the way it was set up originally. It's a mistake, I would say, because what we did with it got us all trapped. It was not the original intent. When you create something collectively and put it in motion in the lower worlds of time and space, which by the way are just fine. Planets and moons and suns and stars and galaxies and doorways between dimensions are just happy-go-lucky fine. It's the people running bodies that are messed up. That's the problem. They are Atmas and they don't remember this. They have this terrible fear that they're a body. They're afraid that it will die, and then they'll die, and then they think the body's going to be resurrected. That's not the case. The Atma survives the body's demise. Always has, always will. Cannot destroy an Atma. That is impossible. Atmas can wake up, recover, and when they do, they drop reincarnation and karma because they no longer support it. They no longer agree with it. And then we start co-creating with beings in the trillions that also have dropped all that. You get my point? We start joining that power. And then our evolution as beings accelerates tremendously. This man and woman are standing beside you. Basically right now they're just keeping your primary implant off. Most of you know that it's there, and if you get fear of the present and future, you know you can turn away from it. Secondary implants are gone. It's just the primary that we're dealing with now, and you have already mastery over it. It's just a matter of being reconditioned and accepting that you can embrace that you have mastery over negative things. You already do. It isn't in the future. You don't acquire it later. You have to wake it up in the present. There's an energy coming from the hue that we plug into out in space that brings with it a certain kind of wisdom coming from the worlds above the void that allows us to look at things now and determine our decisions and creative choices so that we will never be trapped again. This is key. What's the point of anyone becoming enlightened over and over again only to be trapped over and over again and lose it? What's the point of becoming a master and losing it? You've all been masters before and lost it. We all have. This wouldn't be the first time. But there is a different energy moving through creation now that makes it possible for us to keep it permanently. What's the point if we don't go back to the source and co-create our individual contribution to it, to change the way the lower worlds of time and space are run, not destroy them? That's been done several times before. All the lower dimensions of time and space and every galaxy and planet have been wiped out. All the atom was brought up above the void, and it was rebuilt and people were put back in it. And after billions of years, we end up in the same trap, in the same boat, because it wasn't changed. It was set to be fixed and finished by us collectively. This was an error, because if you can't change it or fix it, you can't change anything in it. And if you're stuck in it, you're stuck in it. So, the beings behind you, if you use your daydreaming ability, which everybody has, you're just near the ceiling as a spherical Atma. They're hovering to each side of you. You 4 ladies, you 5 ladies have perfect physical forms, about 36, flawless, beautiful, dressed elegantly, ethereally. And this is the form that you present to each other, because it's a natural ability we have as Atmas to share this. It's kind of based on the prototype of Sat Nam. as a physical human form. That's where that all came from. But we were never meant to worship this being. Respect him? Yeah. Worship him? No. Respect the source and know it? Yes. Worship it? No. That's just wrong in every way. Worship means you're putting something on a pedestal, way up high, something that this primary implant will convince you you can't understand that. It's out beyond your comprehension. This is a lie. It is an implant. We have the ability to comprehend what the source itself knows by plugging into it, merging our being into it. You don't lose your individuality, but you have access to the whole one power then. We are not whole and complete unless we're connected to the one pure energy we come from. This is the point. So when you're in space, because they just jump there, this is called direct projection. We don't do astral travel at all because that's just the Atma going and visiting its astral body and having an experience with it in that dimension and coming back with a memory of it like a dream. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't help people get free. It's neat if you go to the astral plane on one level and you're flying around in a physical body through the air like a bird just levitating around. That's in the astral plane. It's possible to do that on a physical world, but not the way people are on Earth. If one person was flying around here, the governments out of fear would shoot that being down or trap it or put it underground and study it out of fear. So those kinds of freedoms are not available to people on Earth because of what they block. This is understood by each one of you now quite well. This is known to me. This is known to friends from out of town. Where you are now and where you've been brought to cannot be reversed. This is impossible. The only direction you can go now is further into recovering yourself, who you are. Being a co-creator with Source, it's our destiny. So out in space around Turelian, as you know, Turelian shows himself as 18 feet tall. The big Atma hovering above him, Etan Din above him, Satnam hovering way up there with a vortex leading to the void. The pale blue luminous infinite atmosphere that certain people in esoteric groups on Earth think is the supreme being. And they stop right there and they go no further. They don't see anything in it, so they figure it must be the omnipresent source. Well, the source behind all life is not empty. It's not a void. It isn't material things and bodies, but it certainly is the real source of living everything. And we come from there. Ramu is by Earth. Opelum's out in space. No point in going and describing them. You already know this. This man and woman standing beside each of you are there for your benefit, simply to help make sure that nothing negative goes with you on the journey, that it stays turned off with your sleeping body in the trance state back on Earth. This is easy stuff. You go into the trance state because it's natural and normal for you to do it. It's one of your capabilities as an Atma. When enough fear is gone, it becomes normal. Put it to sleep like you do your body every night, but because of my voice and the way this is set up with friends from out of town, this becomes a way for you to link into the conscious, awake, aware you and stay alert on the journey so you can get the best benefit from it. There's a dozen ships hovering around us, but they're not for implant removals. They're Galactic Alliance personnel who've been invited to join us on this journey. So a select couple from each of 12 ships are standing around us and others standing in a circle around Turelian because these particular people are master teachers and they go serve a session in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. It's a law of economy. They go with us because not only is it beneficial for us, but it's beneficial for many more people to journey up through that doorway Satnam holds open in order to get there and get their work done and learn more and give more and come back, which they do. They don't come back to Earth. They come back to their own ships, their own planets. There's a number of master teachers in the circle besides Ramu and Opelum, and Etta and Din, and Master Turelian, as I call him. The ambassador is a correct title for him. He is not an ambassador to Earth. He's an ambassador to the Galactic Alliance. From where? Well, put it this way. The teachers or mentors of the Say race are the silent ones. The silent mentors themselves. Which explains why they're so darned advanced. We get our DNA for the human machinery we run called bodies from them, originally. So do most of the races in the Milky Way. In fact, probably all. And in other galaxies as well, and in the entire astral dimension. These guys did all that work billions of years ago and disappeared about 1 billion years ago. Where they went, nobody knows. But you bet your life on it that the silent mentors had something to do with that. Ambassador Turelian is not a silent mentor, but he's pretty close. And now, because of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy and what's happening there, we're going to go place ourselves between silent mentors and master teachers and get right in the middle of that energy. This is unique. This has never happened before. Not in the beginning and not in hundreds of billions of years since. This is new. I cannot tell you what will be the outcome of mixing it up with such beings, except that it will be good. The ships are about 30 feet across. They're scout class. They're no bigger than that. There are 4 couples in each one. You can see through the halls. You can look around this circle where you're standing. Perry's over there between Ramu and me, and I'm a little further out, and Pelham's to my right, and all of you are between us, the couple behind you. My little cat Starlight's hovering there with his tail going, smiling, just above Etta and Din. They've been training him. He's been sharing insights with them too. He's quite brilliant. So they're all going on this journey. This is not about numbers. This is about quality, not quantity. We build things gradually and carefully so that people remain benefited and continue to awaken who they are. The sound out here is like, I describe it like rumbling thunder, but there's no lightning. It's a rumbling kind of humming sound. The light around us is a white golden light everywhere. It supports the planet, the moon, the suns, the stars, the galaxies, all spinning on their axes, producing electromagnetic fields made of the hue so they can float in this omnipresent power. As Atmas, we do exactly the same thing. We have an electromagnetic field of the hue around the outside of the Atma like the Earth does. Which means if we understood this, we would respect that planet, its atmosphere, and everything on it. We would do things very differently, naturally. As you know, there's 144 parallel dimensions of higher and higher parallel time rate matter in the physical universe. So there's 144 Earths, most of which you know nothing about. You do know about Lemuria, that's in the 3rd higher parallel dimension. The one between there and here is where elves and dwarves and all those nature spirits and their function. Between those two. And the more advanced ones can come between these planes in a spiritual form, in an Atma form. They can come physically through certain interdimensional doorways. Some of them are advanced enough to walk here. Others come by ship. That's just 3 levels of it. And people don't remember this. It gets very confusing on Earth. You know, where's the nature spirits? Where are the beings? Where does this come from? How does this all work? It's all mixed up in people. because they used to know how to circumnavigate all this and understand it, keep it all separate. When people do something to rent the veil between the astral emotional worlds and here, they become neurotic or they become schizophrenic. They start seeing things and talking to things they see and talk to, but they aren't in this plane. And it seriously imbalances their life. Men in white coats come and put them into a mental institution because those guys don't know how to cure nothing. Not yet, they don't. If we have a problem in the astral body, we're running where all emotion comes from. Drugs on earth that placate symptoms will not cure a problem like that. We have to be aware of that plane. Go there and get it fixed, or work with beings that understand this. Unfortunately, such beings are not on earth, or they're not publicly allowed to demonstrate any of this on earth at this time. Out here in the hue, which comes from that vortex above Satnam, there's a higher form of hue being brought here through him, through Turelian, out his fists, 2 thumbs up. So it creates a kind of an oval, golden, white light that's brighter than the hue around us. It surrounds the ships. It surrounds all the being here. So we're actually starting to communicate and work with source energy here in space outside of Earth. This is the value of actually being able to get here. We don't want to try to do any of this inside Earth's atmosphere. That would be a catastrophe. It wouldn't work. So those things which people are afraid of must be shut down first. We go on these journeys without bringing any negative nature with us, no fear. When you look at the Earth, you see it change. The polar ice caps vanish. You see a big continent from the left to the right hemisphere, covering half the planet. Another one 2/3 its size on the opposite side of the planet. The moon with atmosphere and little dome cities and little oceans and rivers turning on its axis, revolving around the Earth like it should be, normal. This is a real place, but it's also serving as a prototype for how Earth is meant to be and what will take place to correct the moon that is stuck and dead and doesn't turn. It doesn't affect the water in the body of people on Earth or on the oceans like it should. It's not moving. Technically, it's impossible for it to stay there, influenced by Earth's gravity and the moon and the sun and the stars, and not turn at all. Something happened to it to fix it this way. It was not a good thing. It happened quite a long time ago in galactic history. A history you were in. A history you have a right to remember. If it will be beneficial for you living your life on Earth, you'll remember these things. And much more. Light C is here. He's hanging out right beside Satnam. The top silent mentor has 2, a male and a female, to each side of them. The very top silent mentor is way up the other end of that vortex, just kind of smiling through it. A big, huge spherical being. And a form standing in front of it you can make out because you can see all the way up that vortex. You are an Atma. You have telephotographic, how do I pronounce it? You have the ability to see and bring things into focus that are far away. The Atma can do this. And so it has a little, like a white robe on and blonde hair to the shoulders, and the big Atma above it. No facial features. And these beings have started to be get involved in things in the lower worlds, which is not what they've done before. Turelian, with his thumbs up, is serving as he volunteers to do this. You're going to find me standing beside him. I got my 2 thumbs up, and there's a greater white golden light coming through me too. I'm co-creating. I'm like an assistant, let's say, of Turelian in this way. But also I'm autonomous. I do my own thing. We work in harmony. And so when you look upward, he is serving like the central focal point around which we revolve, around which we're circled, and then we start moving up as a group of people, still in this huge, brighter, oval, golden white sphere of light. Oval. So it's like a ship. It's carrying us up this shaft of light. The top silent mentor is waiting. Sat Nam, Light C, the man and woman silent mentor, male and female, are moving up through this vortex, and we're just going right up after them. You could say that the source is pulling us up. The omnipresent power is giving us the power and the direction and the energy to move beyond time and space. That vortex bypasses the lower worlds of the astral, causal, mental, and etheric, so we don't get mixed up in them. Right now, that's not our purpose. And we're going to move up in the center of the shaft of whirling golden white light, around which is circling a blue and green luminous water. Looks like water, but it isn't. And as we move up through the central throat of this narrowing passageway, the whole group of us appear like the size of like a button to the size of a dinner plate. And then we just shoot up through the other end. When we come out the other side, we are privileged to look down and see that we're still hovering as a group around Trillian in space near Earth. But it's not the Earth you came from. Remember, it's the one where Lemuria is, with the live moon. We're going to come back to that. It's important we come back to that. Then that vortex vanishes below us, and we are literally hovering around Trillian. You can see Satnam and these other beings receding into the distance upward, and we're in an infinite void, a kind of a pale blue light, but it's much brighter than the hue below. But to us it appears as a pale blue light here. There's no form here. There is a race of beings here. They normally are never met by anyone, even going up through the void. I have met them. One day we'll go on a journey to meet who they are. And to do that, you have to have no judgment, no bias, no prejudice, no fear, because you see the beauty of them as they are. But they don't look human. They stand on two legs and have two arms, but they're very much not human. It's like passing a test. The more we can pass tests of appreciating and respecting all life that atoms run in all forms, the more tests we pass, the more trusted we become. We are, and have always been, destined to be conscious, trustworthy co-creators with the source behind all life, because we are that source and we come from that source. Nothing could be more natural. And you see Satnam receding further upward and vanish as we suddenly go into a beam of this oval light. It just darts further upward and begins to slow until you see that Satnam is landing with his feet on a brilliant diamond-like beach, glowing as far as you can see left and right. It curves slightly inward, which indicates that this beach is surrounding some massive circular landmass. It's like the Hugh Expansionary Academy just above Satnam's realm. It's also round in structure. Everything round or pyramidal has the best balance for maintaining and focusing higher energy and grounding it. A pyramid fits within a sphere, top and bottom, to the side, in every direction. A dodecahedron chamber that's in the Emerald Star Cruiser, stationed in the ice rings of Saturn, back in the solar system that Earth is in, has a certain focus for energy from the higher realities into craft the Galactic Alliance uses. You all knew this once. You might as well be aware of it again. None of you are inexperienced. Every one of you used to pilot ships like that, had massive numbers of degrees in science beyond what anyone could comprehend on Earth. And this was in your ancient past. Yours, not mine. And then you find your feet wiggling in this luminous diamond-like sand. Charlie standing offshore, what appears to be offshore. It's not water. Still got his 2 thumbs up. He's still got that quirky smile of his. This is a being of few words. Pure telepathy is his game. Satnam is the same way. Silent mentors, you won't hear them speak. Their telepathy is beyond speech. And you realize that this sand, some of it, because it has a form of a diamond in a sphere, is moving up through your perfect bodies that you've brought here. They're manifestation, projection from the white core of the Atma that you are hovering above them. It goes into the white core of the Atma, and it goes out through the various layers from white to yellow, to orange, to red, to blue, to green, a little bit almost lavender and violet and lavender and golden outer exterior, because we are comprised of these different layers of these faculties as individual beings. It has structure, form, not physical DNA matter or molecules or atoms, but pure energy form. It is what we are. It's what we've always been. You folks have run billions of bodies. No big deal. This illusion of being trapped in bodies and being born again over and over again as a baby, dumber than a rock until it can grow more and talk and all that, is what people think life is normally like. But that's only what they see on Earth. It's not like that elsewhere. People on Earth are in for some big shocks when they find out what's normal. But just remember this, as people find this out, you all will already know it, because you were once it already long ago. This cannot be denied. This isn't something I give you. This is something you carry inside of you. And this omnipresent hue, this hue expansion ray, is waking it up. We find ourselves suddenly hovering around a fountain. Satnam is hovering next to it, pointing to it. 15 feet in diameter, white scalloped stone edges like the shell of an abalone. Has a statue of Satnam in it. It is a portal. It is a device. He's got his 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms, bare-chested, strongly built to his waist, little white tunic dress down to his bare feet. His hands are at his sides, palms outward. The energy's flowing through the top of the statue, a white, brighter golden light, flowing through his palms, filling the bowl, dropping around the outer surface of this fountain in a beautiful, glistening, even sheet of light. It has a sound like humming, millions of men and women's voices singing the hue. And then it drops through the ground behind a white, circular, donut-shaped, but it's flat, stone sitting seat, supported by 12 intricately scrolled white stone, white alabaster type legs. It's a way of describing it. It is an alabaster, but in the distance are 4-foot high flowering plants, and there are 7 concentric circles of them going off in the distance. The other direction you can see palatial estate, crystalline, transparent buildings, big blue lapis lazuli pillars, columns. They have a glow around them, supporting a big pyramid opening into, looks like a blue stone throne chair. It's transparent. The floor is golden quartz glowing. Everything glows here. There's no suns or moons or stars or planets here. Everything radiates light. They are not necessary. In the Atma plane, where this is Satnam's realm, life does not age. There's no past or future, no space, no time. Everything is manifested and held in place by beings, directly, conscious. As things are built here, the beings doing it are responsible for maintaining it, like Sat Nam, for this realm. You can see behind this throne chair, because we're now walking behind it, floating behind it. Walking's kind of fun, but we can float behind things too. There's another greater fountain in an outside courtyard between this palatial estate that lines this long snow-capped mountain range and fields and huge territories of land between the mountains and this palatial structure. And it has an even brighter shaft of white golden light coming down into it. So we're going to go up it. And as we move with Torellian in a circle of beings right through this opening of this pyramid doorway opening, and up this mountain, we can see as we're moving up it out over millions of acres, if you want to put it that way, of different divided lands with different animals and different plants and different atmos, all experiencing what it's like to be all these other creatures. And they swap with beings that are at what you would call animals on Earth, birds on Earth. And the human atma that's been used to running human bodies learns how to appreciate and respect atmas running other forms. This is where it comes from. So when we go into that mix, we kind of bring some of this back with us to Earth. It makes us remember what we once knew, that we've long been made to forget, or we forgot ourselves by incorrect choices along the way. Mostly we forgot most of it by incorrect choices along the way. People playing with bodies in the lower worlds of time and space when it first started had no experience with what would happen. The sensory pleasures and privileges of bodies and how people run families and what they do became overwhelming over time to atmas until they just lost and forgot everything. This is all reversible. So we're moving up this shaft of light, and the next thing you realize is that you are now looking down from high up in this vast cobalt blue, beautiful blue luminous atmosphere. There's no planets or moons or suns or stars here. You're looking at this landmass, and you see 6 snow-covered mountain peaks in a circle on the center of this huge landmass. Way out in the distance, you can see this white luminous beach, brighter than the one around Satnam's realm, a higher form of the hue. And down in the valley between these mountains is an island, circular, white. And at the edge of that island, surrounded by a blue-green luminous lake, is the hue, blue glass-like, transparent hue expansion rate Academy Tower, Administration Tower. And it is a focus of the hue coming from the source itself and beyond. And it comes down into this world. It's regulated by Agam Purusha, and he's in a plane far above here. And so it spreads out into the land and supports everything that's here. And you look around you as we're moving up this shaft of light, and you see that there are a dozen silent mentors standing in a circle outside this beam. The huge atmas they are, with twice as many teardrops floating there, alternating male and female in a circle. And they're moving up the shaft of light outside of it. They are independent of doorways between dimensions. They can appear anywhere instantly without going through any portal. They're showing us that. So as we move upward, we see this atmosphere thin, and then we become part of there's like an ocean wave that is moving and breaking on this beach in a circle, continuously moving around the outer circumference of this, always gently crashing on the beach and always moving. This ocean wave of the hue in that form creates a field of energy that has this place floating in place in this cobalt blue atmosphere. The principle works differently here than electromagnetic fields back on Earth. This tower comes up smooth as glass to a 2/3 upwards. It comes to an oval, clear administration area, then goes up to a minaret point. A shaft of beautiful white golden light is coming down into it. There's a fountain in the middle of that oval section. It's also white like alabaster, like Satnam's fountain, but there's no statue here. It doesn't need to be. We are moving as a group to the northeastern quadrant of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. Flowing through the air effortlessly. No wind, no rain, no clouds here. They're not needed. Unless they want to manifest them just for aesthetic pleasure, they can appear here. There's no wind or weather patterns in such energy fields. They're not needed. And we're starting to come down into this roadway that bisects that northeastern quadrant, like dividing a pizza in half and again, so there's 4 sections. And we're going down this roadway and turning right into a clearing. And in that clearing, there are 12 trees. And these trees in that clearing, they look like giant redwood trees. They're working with this tree today. The leaves on these trees are glowing. I mean the needles on them. There's a shaft of white golden light running down through the trunks. In the center of this white marble-like stone floor that these trees surround is this 4-foot wide, clear blue glass sphere with a blue star in the middle, cobalt blue. There's a shaft of light coming down into it from above. Standing at the top of these trees are these silent mentors alternating male and female, and a big, beautiful Atma hovering above them. Myself and Torellian, even Starlight and Etta and Din, and some master teachers like Ramun Pelham and Lightsey and a few others, are standing inside this beam of light just above this sphere. The rest of us, and I'll come out and join you, are going to stand in a circle, the Atmas we are hovering above these perfect body forms, between the silent mentors and Torellian, between the silent mentors and this shaft of white golden light. And they're moving energy back and forth from above the silent mentors through these perfect forms they have, and connecting it to that shaft of light above this crystal sphere. And it's moving back and forth in an effortless manner, right through us. We get to understand how silent mentors think. When you look in their face, you see levels upon levels upon levels of galaxies and dimensional doorways. They see everything, and they think like this. What's in their being is, in their teardrops contains all of the multidimensional universe, so they can see any aspect of it. They just move into one of the teardrops and they're there. Anywhere, in any form, without any limitations whatsoever. Silent mentors can work with us only here. This is safe. This was built for this purpose. So we get to mix it up with such beings. And they get to mix it up with us and with master teachers who have more of a regard for Atmas and their evolution. That's really not their territory, but they're learning it from us. They're learning it from the master teachers too. So what we are in the middle between them is some kind of prototype, something new. The tests that someone goes through to be a silent mentor are so extraordinarily horrific you wouldn't even want to attempt it. But it's not necessary because there are plenty of them already. What's needed is something between the two to help administrate something new in the hue expansion ray. So the lower worlds of time and space that the silent mentors can unfix and unfinish can change in certain ways. This also means that at the source, far above the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, something has changed in the ocean of sound and light in Prime Creator and the source itself. So we're going to go up this shaft of light as a group of beings in a circle. And the silent mentors are going to go with us in a bigger circle around us. And we're just going to find ourselves in the center of this shaft of light, speeding upward. And we stop in a certain plane, and we see a massive being approaching us. It's just bigger than silent mentors. It's just beautiful. And this is Agam Purusha. And his energy flowing around him, everywhere around us, coming into existence, fire like fire, and orange and yellow and reds and disappearing, and blues and greens and fading and going and coming, and it never stops moving. And here's this being that regulates all of it. He regulates the pure raw power of the hue that comes from above, down in through the planes, through the other Purushas in the planes, down through the sixth Purusha, down through the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, and down through Satnam's realm, through the void, all the way down to Earth and out into other worlds and systems. It never stops moving. It never stops moving through us or around us. So he's simply there to greet us. I have befriended this being. It was one of the smartest choices I ever made in eternity. Because he likes friends. Who knew? Most people are scared of him. Not me. So you make friends with this guy. He's in the raw power that supports you all the way down to Earth. He's everywhere. He's aware of it all. So he's always with us. And you see a tree in the background. That's the only thing that stands out in this whirling energy, this chaotic energy. Appears to be chaotic, but it isn't. It's a massive silver tree. It's as far up into the heavens as you can see. The roots go down into the swirling energy. And there's a golden white light running through the trunk of this tree. And these silver needles are alive. And everywhere you look in one of the needles of this tree, as we move into it, as a group of beings, we have permission from Agam Purusha to go further. As we move into the trunk of this tree, you can see planets upon galaxies, upon planes, upon doorways, represented in every needle on this massive tree. This is the tree of life. It has functionality. It is a device of a sort. It's connected to a tree we're going to go back to when we come back. It's in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, something that Master Light C oversees there. As we move up into this trunk of this tree, we come out the very tip of it and find ourselves moving into an even greater cobalt blue atmosphere. Just brilliant. Makes your eyes squint. You know, you feel like you have eyes and they're squinting because it's so bright. And what you see in the distance of this massive void looks like a luminous, golden white, almost silver-like galaxy of stars revolving around a central island. It's in a kind of an empty void, not really empty, but it seems empty between this island and this outer area of these stars that look like the arms of the stars in a galaxy, which is where they get their pattern from, by the way, from here. And we're moving as a group of beings in between these big beings that are floating around this center. All of us collectively, including the silent mentors, can fit easily between them. We're moving through layer after layer after layer of them until we enter this blue void. It's this almost pastel clear atmosphere. And we dart forward and find ourselves standing on the white sandy-like stone-like floor of this circular island in the middle of it all. Hovering the very center of it is this huge Atma. It has more layers, thousands of layers. And we, hovering above these forms we are showing it, those forms are withdrawn into the white core of our being. They're not needed here. It knows who we are. We know who it is. And we begin to move, all of us, in between these teardrops of what we call the Ancient One, or Prime Creator Source. And we pass in it as individual Atmas, autonomous, collectively, co-creatively aware. And then we're in the center of a white light, golden light, no teardrops. It is a nexus. It is a focused point of all Atmas in all the multidimensional universe. And it has a voice. You can speak with it. It is not a being on a throne. It's not a man. It's not a woman. It is Source, Prime Creator. We are made of exactly the same energy in the white core of our being. The same. You look at that white core, it's identical. The same. We're like a drop out of that ocean of the center of the Prime Creator itself. Individualized. We always have been, we always will be. Here, when it speaks to you, it has a deep melodious voice like a male, but it has a feminine quality to it. It has this presence that it would say welcomes you here, because that's what it does. And then it will tell each one of you something differently about destiny, about co-creating with it. We don't worship it, we respect it. Of course we do, it's natural. It respects us. And then we find ourselves coming out of another tree. We can't stay here long. It's too far removed from the physical life on Earth. The body would stop functioning if we stay for very long. But you don't realize that how much time you spend here is not time and space. In its essence, we could have been there for months, because it isn't the same as down here. Changes take place in us when we visit the Source. This was what we were supposed to be doing all along. You start coming out of the trunk of another tree. And when you look at the leaves, you see different planets in the physical universe represented in that tree. You see planets in the astral, causal, mental, and etheric on different levels represented in that tree. That tree is in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. It's out the western roadway, or the western mountain of the six that circle that white island. In the bottom of a blue glass administration tower on that island is another 4-foot-high blue lapis lazuli stone-type pedestal with a crystal sphere, transparent glass blue, glowing with a cobalt blue star in the center of it. A shaft of light comes down into that and goes into the hollowed-out interior of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. This is where silent mentors work, and master teachers. So we're coming out of this tree. We'll go back to that center. And as we come out of this tree, we step out onto this foot-thick gold quartz glowing floor. We're coming out of a tree that's centered in this huge four-sided pyramid with glowing golden walls. The humming sound here, the high note of a flute, is exhilarating because it is the sound of eternity passing through eternal beings, us. And there's Lightsey, a little frail, I don't want to call him frail, 5'5" tall kind of man with a little Chinese robe on and Fu Manchu type little beard and mustache and a little hat on. And he's just got his right hand up and he's greeting you. He's the custodian or caretaker of this facility. He was the first one to volunteer to step across the void from the etheric plane where he resides and work here. He is an ancient master teacher, considered to be a faultless guardian. And above him, this beautiful Atma hovering. So you get a perspective on how things work amongst these master teachers. They teach by example, telepathically. There are no chalkboards, no blackboards, no computers here. Nothing can be confused. Nothing can be misunderstood because there's no negative nature here whatsoever, in you or outside of you. Then we find ourselves hovering in around the inside of this blue glass administration tower in the central area of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. And we're moving down inside this, right inside this spherical blue glass sphere and going into this blue star and being shot downward in a beam of light. And we come out of another beam of light, hovering in a circle around it. And around us are 12 white leather-like chairs facing away from us towards the inner round kind of oval wall inside the hollowed out interior. And here there are 12 trees. These are like weeping willow trees, like they are in the northwestern quadrant of the silent mentors. And there's a male and female standing above them. Beautiful Atma, 4 times bigger than us, twice as many teardrops observing us. And we are between them and this shaft of light in the hollowed out interior of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. It's a type of training. It's a very special one. There are thousands of teaching facilities down all those white roadways that exit the base of caves at the bottom of the 6 mountains and go all the way straight as narrow like the spokes of a bicycle tire to end at the beach that surrounds this place. And here they're showing you they have 12 islands floating around the outside of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy with 1 dome on each of them. Those are silent mentor teaching facilities. They help balance this place. They were put there very recently. So Terrellian, standing inside this beam, and all of us take a turn standing inside the beam around him. So we know what it feels like to be him. Then we're back in a circle between the silent mentors and this shaft of light. Experience an exchange of a golden white beam of light moving between us, through us, from the silent mentors, all 12 of them, Terrellian and other master teachers, Etta and Din, even Starlight's here. There are many master teachers here. And it's flowing between them and us and the silent mentors. Each of you finds yourself sitting in a distance in one of these white chairs. There are 12, so just pick one. And as you do, you find that this silent mentor, male or female, will look down on you. And this chair will begin to form around a body shape that looks like you. Perfect, of course, about 36. The Atma hovering above it. And the beam goes down through this chair, and you begin to see a panorama like a holographic curved projection screen right in front of all of you. And you begin to see all the things in the lower worlds of time and space over billions of lives that made you forget going home. This is before you were ever implanted or caught by reptilians or anybody else. This made you forget your lives in the upper realities before you started playing in the lower worlds of time and space. It makes us realize that we are responsible for the condition of how the lower worlds of time and space are run, including everything on Earth. There are many beings, countless numbers, who are moving in the new ray to change things now for the first time in several 100 billion years. And we are right in the middle of it. here. There's a training facility. It's in the northwestern quadrant. It's down the same middle road that goes out to the Silent Mentor's realm, 2/3 of the way down. There's one there. There are 12 Silent Mentors there. These big trees that are like weeping willow trees with broad, spoon-shaped, glowing leaves, and another crystal sphere hovering above a white platform floor. And we're turning a left turn about halfway down this road into a clearing. What you see are all these trees in perfect form. They're shaped like a galaxy. There's a big dome in the center, and then there's a spiral of trees in the form of a galaxy that circle this open area. All kinds of trees. And there are hundreds of types of birds hovering in branches. And we're walking out into this dome. The dome opens in the top, and all these birds fly inside the dome. We're standing around Turellian with our feet in a blue luminous water. It's a very special facility. It has to do with truth and knowing it and recovering it. So your feet running blue energy up your bodies, going into the blue area that surrounds one of the outer layers of the Atma. These birds, some of them are taller than people. Double sets of wings, long necks, multi-colors, snake-like eyes, beautiful red, pink, orange, yellow eyes, all kinds of birds. Every one of them has some master teacher running it. So here's what we're going to do. One of these birds is going to either hop up next to you, give you a hug, big long neck, maybe a peck on the lips. They look up at you, you look out down at them, you look up at them, and then you find that you are trading places with them. They're starting to run you all the way down to earth, and you're starting to run this body form. This has vocal cords. It's smarter than any human on earth, but it's a bird. And you get to feel what it's like to fly up out of the hole in this dome and land in a tree and sing and talk with each other in the hue. And they fly back and you swap places. You guys embrace telepathically, and then they go back out and hover in the trees. There are training facilities like this, but not this high, down in Satnam's realm, below here. Many, 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 many. So this gives you a little bit more of an awakening. It's good to just maybe stand around some of these trees. Go up and hug a tree here. They form like a galaxy around a central dome where that blue pool is. Just merge with one. You're going to find that the trees in this place have an Atma hovering above each one. So what are you going to do? You're going to go up there and swap places with them. They're going to run you, see what it's like to be you, billions of years old. And you're going to see what it's like to be the consciousness of a living being. Trees here are living beings. And then you exchange places again. When you look at the blue pool in that dome, you realize it's charged with a white golden light coming down through the opening like a shaft of light. And this type of energy takes the form of water, but it isn't H2O. It stores or charge of the hue. This can be transferred from this dome down through the U Expansion Ray Academy, all the way back down to Earth. It could charge Earth's oceans in a second. The only thing that's waiting is the mass of people on Earth waking enough, as scared as they would be, to invite it. What will take place before that happens is ships landing all over the planet from outer space. And this world will change. It will be invited to become a spacefaring member of the Galactic Alliance, like 450 million others have. It's much bigger than that now, Because the Zeolite race and the other side of the galaxy are all working together now. It's just a big playground. And we're supposed to be conscious, trustworthy, custodians and caretakers, masterful beings, looking out for creation. This is our job. We're all capable of doing it. We already know how. It's not new. You don't have to earn it or learn it. You just have to wake it up. And this is the way it's done. And you find yourself suddenly hovering in a circle around Turelian back by Earth. You still see that big continent, Lemuria, and Atla or Atlantis on the other side. This world's poles never flipped. It was never destroyed when Lemuria, later Atlantis, was destroyed on Earth in polar flips. Polar flips for Earth were permanently and have been permanently stopped by the silent mentors themselves. No more golden age to iron age for planet Earth. It's over. The poles won't flip on this planet again. That's a finished history. So, you're looking at this continent down near the South Pole, about a third of the way up from it, maybe. You can see that this continent curves down, goes back up, and there's an upward curved, half-moon shaped, glowing green luminous beach. Inside the interior of this huge continent is a big oval mountain range like the Himalayas. In the center of it from space, you can see like a monastery and gardens in a central valley between these mountains. And it's like warm and sunny. There's a city called Agamdas. Master Ramu comes from there. It's in the physical universe, but it's in the third higher parallel dimension, an Earth that is different than the Earth you know of. So you find yourself wiggling your toes in this glowing, luminous, emerald green sand. There's a huge jungle behind you, and these trees have water that's charged, so that the leaves are glowing and the trunks are glowing. And the water in the ocean, this blue-green, calm ocean behind you. There's Turelian standing up to his knees in the water by this beach, this big, curved, glowing green beach. In the distance, several miles back, is this single snow-capped mountain to the right, and a big dome covering 3 pyramids and a little mountain range in it, and some other things we've been to before, to the left of that mountain range. It's a big waterfall pouring out of a cavern opening 2/3 of the way towards the summit. It's glowing with a blue-green light, and then it's just falling thousands of feet and disappearing behind what look like green-blue, mostly blue, a little bit of green forest trees. It winds its way through the valley to that luminous ocean. That is a science type of structure. Pelham works there from Oceania. Etta and Din come there often. Turelian works there. Other Say-Rays are seen there. Silent mentors visit here because it is a pure planet Earth. There's no negative nature in the atmosphere of the water at all. Very few people inhabit this planet. It is and has always been free of negative nature. So the moon that circles this planet that's alive with an oxygen atmosphere will be used as a prototype to fix the one that circles Earth when the time is right. You get to experience some of this awareness. The reason you're on this beach is to let the energy of that beach up through your legs, this perfect form, up through the white core of your being, out to the green layer. It begins to turn on some more of those teardrops because this green area, which is a gift from the Zeolite people on the other side of the galaxy that are in Earth, in the physical dimension where Earth is you're familiar with, brought this gift here. And what it does is help Atmas remember all the lives they've ever had in the lower worlds of time and space, in matter worlds running DNA bodies. It helps you recover what's needed for you to know to be wiser and untrappable in the days to come. And then you find yourself hovering near the ceiling back on Earth. You're still hovering near the ceiling. The man and woman beside you from the Galactic Alliance are still there. There's no fear, no getting of nature. And what we've done, although I didn't have time to say it, next time maybe we'll go on a journey where we'll go through the etheric, mental, causal, and astral planes on the way back. But know that we went through them. Which means we're waking up those forms you're running to be aware of each other, receive energy from above, and transfer it below, so that they can begin to assist you on Earth. This is part of the alignment that is required. Back on Earth, we know as this energy moves through the ceiling, down through us, through your body, out through that electromagnetic field that surrounds your body. We know it goes through pyramids. We know it goes to a bigger one, stationed between two stable asteroids in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of a planet between Mars and Jupiter. We know it goes back to the center of the galaxy and goes back up that shaft. Those are interdimensional doorways, concentric generators. That's something Agam Purusha has a hand in. Silent mentors move through this stuff all the time. And so this energy moves through you for your benefit, but on its way elsewhere for the benefit of others. This makes us conscious co-creators with the source right now. It's not futuristic. It's never in the future. We do not come from the lower planes of time and space. We do not come from the experiment of matter and bodies and DNA. We are from source. So when you're ready, open your eyes. Different stuff. An hour and a half. We're getting better. More stuff going into a journey. It only takes an hour and a half. This is recorded. Would any of you like to share anything that you would like on the recording for the benefit of others? You don't have to. You're not required to. Or we can stop the recording and talk off the record. What would you like to do? Includes Perry too.
I'd like to ask people who are watching these videos to join us, for their own benefits, to get to remember who they are. It's very beneficial for everyone.
Thank you, Perry. Anybody else have any questions about this journey now that you're back? Hard to think, isn't it, with a mind when you're back here, because you don't need it.
Actually, it will take like a couple of days for them to understand and downloading this experience.
Well, you will, because give it a couple of days, and when you play it back, you make it fun, childlike, just fun. Get a notebook, get a voice-active tape recorder, whatever works for you, and play with it. Play part of it, contemplate on it, shut it off, go eat, get up, go to the bathroom, come back, whatever you want, and then go through the whole journey a second time. You're going to find, if you do this, you're going to understand it like somehow you always knew it. There's certain things that didn't exist before you didn't know before, but you do now. That blue pool, that part of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, working with the silent mentors in several locations.
And how about the blue layer of the Atma? What does it mean? The color of the blue layer.
The blue, or we're talking about the green one, like
the blue? No, the blue, because
the blue is truth. More like affects the mental plane. More the mental plane, but it's really truth as it represents itself. The cobalt blue atmosphere in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, for instance, is backed by a white golden light, but it represents knowing, multi-dimensional knowing, and knowing certainty, confidence is what it represents. Green is memory of lives in the lower worlds of time and space. The white beach in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy represents your understanding and awakened awareness or its potential of all the existences you've had in the upper worlds above the void. Two different things connected to different aspects of that thing. That's understood by everybody?
Kwan, do you have any questions?
Yes, I just, as always, I just would like to thank to Scott and Master Being and Perry as well for bringing us for this journey. And this time it was very extraordinary, very gorgeous to learn. I heard that at we can have the experience of other being. Like this time you took us to
Yeah.
have the experience of the bird
I couldn't
and the
have done that when
tree.
we first met. You realize that, right? Couldn't have done it then.
Yes, yes. And I could not believe that I really had the experience of the bird and the tree. It was super fantastic. Thank you very
Mm,
much.
you're very welcome. Now, remember, the importance of this journey, like all journeys, is that if you work with them properly, you can go back there on your own. I would always ask a master teacher to go with you, like, I don't know, Shantiel, Tonaltiel, Dantam, Lamtam, or any of the masters you met on this journey. Even Satnam, Torellian, myself, anybody. Just, you can go back and go back to where we were in the journey and explore other things. In the Atma plane where Satnam is, you can explore every type of creature that exists in the lower worlds as an Atma and swap places with other Atmas and really get this expansive, fulfilling what we're required, which is to know all life in the grand multidimensional creation. That is our responsibility. And to care for all life, not just ourselves. Not just beings, but animals and plants and trees and sky and planets and all of it, because ultimately we're responsible for it. One of the things that happens, I think, with all of you and the few people that are being guided now, you begin to become responsible again for changing it, for being part of helping it to change. Because we're source beings. Who else can do it but us? We help it to change. That's the point. Nobody else is to be blamed for the way the earth is. Ultimately, in part, we're responsible for it. But we're also capable of changing it. That's the beautiful part. And there are so many beings willing to do that now. We might as well join with them, connect with them. Because you can't do it with your fellow beings on earth yet. They're too much in fear. Right? Is that clear? So what we have in intelligence, the opposite of lust, for instance, not just physical, but overeating, this and that, lust for wealth and having power over people. The opposite of lust is not abstinence or denial. It is right discrimination. That changes everything. Without fear, we have right discrimination to choose wisely and correctly. Fear gets in the way, misdirects this. I bring this up because I think it's important to understand what the opposite of that really is. It isn't what people think. Right discrimination. Anybody have any questions about right discrimination?
Maybe you can explain even more in detail.
Could you speak up a bit, please?
Could you please also talk in detail about right discrimination as you just mentioned?
Yeah, consider that if you plug into the omnipresent power as a drop in it, you have the wisdom of the entire power to make decisions through you. That is right discrimination. That means you decide when choices are presented to you to either go back in fear or ignore it and keep going upward and onward. We have the right discrimination to know whether we meet someone, we choose to do something or not, because we'll see the whole outcome right in front of us before we leap into the unknown. It keeps us from making many errors in judgment. And the only way that right discrimination works through us is when fear is turned off or not present.
And also, like you were talking about this, like uh, primary implant. And could you please like tell us like the best way that we can prepare for this removing of the
Do you remember the white
pri-
chairs in the U Expansion Ray Academy, the 12 of them inside the hollowed out
yeah,
interior?
yeah, yeah.
There are white chairs like that on certain Galactic Alliance Emerald Star cruisers too.
Mhm.
They are connected. Which means some of how the omnipresent power works through technical devices on their craft allows this energy of space, which isn't black at all, to work through those devices so that you can not only have the protection of masterful beings around you, know how to work this technology, but they really do it as atmas through the bodies they're running, not as a mental brain and body part from Nerexalum or something. They work as atmas and run bodies and technology. Earth people don't know how to do this yet. Certainly don't know how to work with the omnipresent power. They don't respect it. They pray to it all the time, but they don't know what it is. So they don't get very far with it, do they? It's reciprocal. We have to be conscious to ask it the right questions or get the right assistance we need from it. Otherwise, it just supports us and doesn't do anything. We have to show it they're awake enough to do that. And then it pays attention to us, if you see what I mean. So the primary implant is how you ended up on Earth with no memory. Secondary implants are artificially put there to keep you from very vast, wondrous lifetimes. They're all positive. It keeps your IQ down. So you want to get at least some of those lives recovered where you had, you were a grand old time. Thousands of years running a form, working in the Galactic Alliance long before this life on Earth. They were part of your past. So if you find yourself sitting in one of those chairs, you could find yourself sitting in a chair on the Emerald Star Cruiser surrounded by masterful beings. And you could look into that primary implant and see how you were killed. Knowing you're safe, you can't be killed again, won't be harmed. But it makes whatever that experience was a memory. So it no longer can affect your nervous system, your life on Earth, or you as an Atma. The value of remembering your existences in the higher worlds and the lower planes is only relevant if what you remember imparts some wisdom to you. The rest, it's unnecessary. Because, we don't have time to waste on all of that. We've already lived those experiences. So it's like we're filtering out the one thing that's erasable in eternity is any negative nature, fear, evil. That's all erasable. When you're done getting the wisdom from the experiences, it is done away with. When we go up to the U Expansion Ray Academy and higher, we're doing away with it in ourselves. We're stopping agreeing with it. We're stopping contributing to it. It puts a field of energy around our bodies when we're walking through life, say you in Thailand. And you become a conduit for this you to go out and do what it will with those beings to change them when it's ready, not when we're ready. Praying for someone without their permission is a crime. We don't want to do that. We want to send the hue out to them and let the one power decide what's best for each person, when it will, and get out of our own way. We have enough to deal with our own enlightenment anyway. So let it move and take care of them. You are channels of this now. It cannot be avoided. You are Atmas. You're aware of it now. That's why when you nod your head and say you understand, a year ago you could not have understood this to save your life. Now you can. That's how much more awake and intelligent and wise you are right now. You have the courage to be here. That says a lot to me and the people I work with. Yes? I think. You should be smiling. I know this can be serious to you, but it isn't. This should be fun for you.
Yeah. It's a like interesting journey. It's like fantastic. Yeah, like pbince.
Sophie, how you doing? You doing okay? Not sad? Okay. I know your mic's off. You could turn it on. You can speak. We won't bite. It's okay. You don't have to either if you don't want to. And how are you doing, one with this beautiful framed picture up above your head? Okay. If you guys don't have any more questions, let me stop the recording.